Have you ever wondered how Russia is profiting from the Russia-Ukraine war? A question that might seem paradoxical, considering the typically destructive nature of conflict. Yet, in the intricate chess game of geopolitics, even warfare can harbor hidden economic advantages. Stay tuned to find out how this seemingly destructive conflict is fueling an economic boom in Russia. War is often associated with destruction and economic downturn. However, the Russia-Ukraine war is a different story. When we think of war, we tend to picture devastation, loss of life, and an economy in shambles. But not all wars follow this narrative. Some, like the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, can result in economic benefits for one party, even as they wreak havoc elsewhere. Let's talk about the general economic impacts of war first. Typically, wars can lead to massive government spending, which often results in public debt. Infrastructure gets destroyed, trade ties are severed, and economies can be thrown into turmoil. But it's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes these expenditures can stimulate economic growth. For instance, during World War II, war spending actually pulled America out of the Great Depression. Now, onto the unique case of the Russia-Ukraine war. It's a situation where the aggressor, Russia, is experiencing an economic boom even as the conflict continues. You might be wondering, how is that possible? Well, two key factors are at play here: a surge in energy prices and strengthening defense and security ties with other countries. Let's start with energy. Russia is one of the world's largest oil and gas producers. With the conflict causing an energy crisis in Europe, Russia's energy exports have skyrocketed. Countries are paying top dollar for Russian gas, filling Russia's coffers. On the other hand, we have defense and security ties. Russia's alliances with countries like China and Belarus are deepening, leading to enhanced economic cooperation. Despite facing sanctions, these countries continue to support Russia, providing it with economic and military backing. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. The true extent of Russia's profits from this war is far greater and more complex. So, how exactly is Russia profiting from this war? Let's dive deeper. The first major factor contributing to Russia's profit is the energy crisis in Europe. Picture this. Russia, a dominant player in the energy sector, has a significant influence on the global energy market. Now, couple this with their actions in Ukraine, and we have a full-blown crisis on our hands. Russia's decision to cut off gas supplies to Europe has sent shockwaves through the continent. Households and businesses alike are feeling the pinch as energy prices skyrocket. To shield their economies from the impact, European countries, including the United Kingdom, Germany, and Austria, have had to dig deep into their pockets. They've rolled out subsidies to cap energy prices, with the UK alone setting aside up to £150 billion for this purpose. In total, measures across the EU amount to over €500 billion. While this may look like a hefty price for the Europeans to pay, it's a windfall for Russia. The higher the energy prices, the more Russia cashes in. It's a classic case of supply and demand. With Europe's demand for energy remaining high and the supply being cut off, Russia finds itself in a position of power. But the crisis doesn't stop there. The escalating energy situation has led to significant financial commitments from European governments. While they scramble to find solutions, borrowing to fund the subsidies, Russia sits back and watches its profits soar. This energy crisis, triggered by Russia's actions in Ukraine, is a perfect example of how a geopolitical conflict can turn into an economic goldmine for some. And in this case, Russia is cashing in big time. But that's not the only way Russia is profiting. Let's look at another key factor. Another major factor in Russia's profit is the strengthening of geopolitical ties. As the world watches Russia's actions in Ukraine, a fascinating story is unfolding in the background. A story of alliances and partnerships that are not only shaping the course of this conflict, but also influencing global economic and political dynamics. Let's take a trip eastward, to the heart of Asia, where China has been closely observing the unfolding drama. Now you might wonder, what does China have to do with Russia's profits from the Ukraine war? Well, it's all about strategic alliances. Amid deteriorating relations with the United States, China has been strengthening its ties with Russia's ally, Belarus. The leaders of China and Belarus have met to deepen their defense and security ties, expressing shared views on the Ukraine conflict. This has implications for Russia's economic interests. Belarus has been facing Western sanctions for its role in the conflict, and in this precarious situation, it has found a friend in China. They have pledged to enhance their economic cooperation and military training. This not only helps Belarus circumvent the impact of sanctions, but also indirectly benefits Russia. It creates a supportive economic and political environment for Russia in the region, and this, in turn, contributes to Russia's profits. But it's not just about China and Belarus. This pattern of strengthening geopolitical ties extends to other countries as well. Russia is leveraging these relationships to enhance its economic position, and this becomes another source of profit in the midst of the Ukraine war. Now that we've seen how Russia is profiting, let's summarize the key points. In this video, we've learned how Russia is profiting from the Russia-Ukraine war. We delved into the economic impact of war, revealing a significant increase in energy prices. The crisis has caused European countries, including the United Kingdom, to spend billions in energy subsidies, inadvertently filling Russia's coffers. We also explored the geopolitical ties that form amid such conflicts, notably the meeting between Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. This meeting signaled a strengthening of ties between Minsk and Beijing, as they jointly stand against Western-led global order, a position that indirectly supports Russia's actions. The intricate web of economic and political strategies we've discussed paints a picture of how war, despite its devastating effects, can be a profitable venture for some. Thank you for watching. Remember, understanding these complex issues is the first step towards making a difference.